Okay, so I want us to continue with the organization where we say we have the four elements of organization, which we call the span of control. Talk about the span of control, we are referring to the number of subordinates that one manager can supervise or who will work under one manager. Okay? Yeah, so therefore, the manager would face certain challenges, yeah, because he has a lot of he has limited time, yeah, and he can only give attention to a very few members of staff. Therefore, these challenges or this limitation can make it very impossible for them to be able to delegate effectively. And now, therefore, this is where we came with the concept of span of control, which indicates the amount or the number of people that a certain manager should have or should work under him. So we've got certain principles that are very important that will dictate the span of control. So we say the span of control states that the number of subordinates position directly reporting to a superior should be that number which is considered to be optimum, yeah, and which balances the essential subordinate activities, okay, the communication, the expenses associated with the additional levels of management. So what are we trying to say here? We're trying to say when we are determining how many people should work under a manager, it is very important for us to be able to know what are some of the subordinate duties, what are some of their strengths, what are some of their skills that they have, and what is the expense that would be associated with this. Okay, so we say the span of control cannot be rigid and is very universal. When we talk about universal, it means it can be used in several organizations. Okay, so we say the span of control is based on the personal quality of both the superior and subordinate, the number of important activities at the lower level of the organization structure. So there are certain factors that you need to consider when you're putting up the span of control. One of it is the ability of both the subordinates and the boss. Yeah, are they capable and competent enough to be able to handle or to be able to work, so that is you able to know, is are you able to expand it or are you able to reduce it? Okay, then you also need to consider the level of hierarchy. About the superior hierarchy, yeah, because the higher the superior is in an organization, the narrower the span of control is. Okay, then you also need to consider the faith in the subordinates, yeah. So if as a manager has faith in the people who work under him, yeah, it means also they are able to work well. Then you also need to consider the physical disposition of the members of the subordinates, yeah. So if the different members are scattered in different locations, it will be very difficult for you to be able to manage them. Okay, so we also talk about the need to communicate effectively, yeah, etc. So it is very important for us to be able to identify this what we mean by the span of control, where we say it is getting to know how many people should work under a certain manager. Okay, so we also talk about another factor in organization, which we call the relationships. Now, relationships revolve around the line managers. Now, the line managers are the superiors and the members of staff. So, when we talk about relationship, we are referring to the line managers and the subordinates. So, this kind of relationship is very important in an organization. Okay, then there's also another principle which you call the coordination of activity. Yeah, so these are the basic principles of organization. Now we also talk about the coordination of activities, where we've got the pooled interdependence, and we've got the consequential interdependence, etc. So I want us to talk about the principles of consider when we are working in the organization, and these principles have proven to make it easy for us to be able to either delegate effectively and be able to manage the organization well. So one of the main principle of organization is what we call the unity of objective. So under this we state that all individuals in an organization which they belong should contribute to the principal objective of the organization. So they should work in such a way that the organization is able to achieve its objective. We also talk about another principle of efficiency. Now, the principle of efficiency refers to the accomplishment of the objectives, yeah, by people with minimum possible cost. So you don't have to incur a lot of manpower or labor when you're managing employees. We also talk about the Scalar chain. The Scalar chain states that authority should flow directly and clearly from the top executive downwards, okay, in the organization until it reaches the subordinates. So information should come from the main person to the other person in such a manner that it is able to reach the subordinates. Then we've got also another principle which we call the adequacy of authority. So under this we mean that managers in organization should be able to give sufficient authority to be able to achieve the desired results. We also talk about the responsibility for result. Responsibility for result means people should own up to their tasks and responsibilities. Okay? Then we talk about the accountability. Accountability means that subordinates should work in such a way that they should be held liable for the task that they do or the task that they perform. Then we also have got the division of labor. Under this we say work should be divided in a logical manner in order to avoid duplication. Duplication means people doing the same type of job. So it should be divided in such a way that people should have different duties and there is no duplication of. Another principle is what we call the unity of command. So under unity of command, we are saying that each individual in an organization should report to only one superior. Yeah, people should not work under different superiors, and they should be able to report to one superior. Yeah, and therefore, from the above, it is very important for us to be able to understand how organizations are organized. What are some of the methods that are used to organize members of staff? Yeah, we mentioned about the delegation, we mentioned about the different types, we mentioned about the decentralization, centralization, we spoke about the span of control, and we've mentioned about the principles that will help us to be able to perform our duties effectively. Okay, so it is very, very important for us to understand that. Now, I'm sure most of you, where you work, you've had something called an organization structure. Okay, organization structure. I work under my boss. My boss reports to somebody else. That other person also reports to somebody else. So we've got what we call the organizational structure or organizational chart. So we say this is a representation, it's a way, yeah, in which people are able to communicate in an organization. Yeah, you have to follow certain protocol. Yeah, you, for example, if I'm an accountant, I report to a chief accountant or a finance manager. And if I have issues that revolve around my duties, I can only talk to my immediate supervisor. Therefore, in an organization, you will get to see a chart that shows how information should flow. And that's what we are referring to as the organizational structure. So this kind of a chart shows the relationship between different departments. For example, we've got the sales department, we've got the HR, we've got the finance department. So it shows the relationship between different departments. Yeah, it's also used to identify the staff positions and who they are responsible to. Yeah, so this organization structure are used in an organization to be able to show us who our line manager or who we report directly to. Therefore, these organization structures are very important in an organization. Okay, so we talked about, then we've said that we've got different approaches to organizational design. One of this method occurred during the era of classical management theory, which I've covered, we've talked about before. And of major contribution was the work of that German sociologist who was called Max Weber. Okay, so he was actually one of the main guys who came up with how organizations should be designed. So he came up with one method which we call the bureaucratic design. So under bureaucratic design, we are referring to where the kind of organization where there is a creation of a formal and legitimate system of authority. Yeah, so it is something legal. Yeah, and it's a legitimate form of authority. So under this, we say managers strive for strict division of labor, and each division should be staffed by an expert in that area. For example, we've got a finance department. So the finance manager should be somebody who is very skilled to be able to handle all issues that revolve around the finances of that organization. Then we also say it should also have clear management, clear chain of. So some of the advantages of this method of design or organization, we have what we call specialization. Specialization means people being able to do tasks that they are very good at. Okay, we also say this method of organization or design, we have good structure, we've also got democracy in the sense that people are able ideas on areas where they think would be taken into consideration by the organization. Okay, so we've got there's some factions of bureaucracy. Yeah, we've got rigidity, impersonality. Yeah, the limitation of etc. Okay, so it is very important for us to be able to understand why this is very important in an organization and some factors that affect organizational design could be technology, size, etc. So I hope this is very clear and we'll see you in the next audio. Bye.